Hi everyone, happy Monday and welcome to my Facebook Live. We're going to talk about the full moon coming on Wednesday as well as the full lunar eclipse that's happening. So this Wednesday actually opens the eclipse portal that we'll be working with for the coming 2 weeks. And this is an important change that's happening. Likely you're already feeling it. I know I am. And especially this is impacting the emotional body. So the full moon is happening on Wednesday early in the morning. And this is sidereal Cancer in Ashlesha Nakshatra. So the constellation of Sarpa. And this is the serpent energy. There are different kinds of serpent energy. There are more spiritual kinds, and there are more troublesome, more problematic serpent energy. And Ashlesha actually brings some of the more challenging serpent energy. There are positives to this constellation, but there are also things to watch out for. So I just want to highlight the intentions, the themes for this full moon, and also why this eclipse portal is potentially challenging, especially for those of us who are under the influence of Cancer already, which actually all of us are through the transit of Rahu and Ketu right now. Rahu is transiting through Cancer, and Ketu is moving through Capricorn, which is 7 houses away. And hi, Suzanne, welcome. Hi, Sue. So the themes of the shadow and all that Rahu sort of enlivens in this transit is showing up in a bigger way. So I want to encourage you to just kind of take note of some of the shadow themes that you've been working with in the past few months. So just over the past few months, just notice some of the challenges that have been showing up. One of the big themes that shows up with Cancer, and especially Rahu in Cancer, which is sort of provoking uncertainty and unknown, even disbelief. But we're working with themes of trust, and particularly trusting our emotional body wisdom. So the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is the emotional body. And so in this transit, we're learning how to deepen our emotional body wisdom. But we have to be willing to lean towards it. We have to be willing to move closer to those challenges in order to harvest from them. So, often what happens is when a challenge shows up, we actually resist it and we don't move closer to it. So the medicine here is actually to move closer to these challenges, these emotional challenges, the feelings that are showing up, in order to start building a different kind of relationship with them, in order to actually harvest from the intelligence of these emotions. And these emotions are living in your body, particularly with this transit of Rahu, and also what's being highlighted right now for the full moon and also in the coming weeks is the wisdom of the emotional body and the heart, particularly heart, chest, lungs. In your Jyotish chart, that's going to be 4th house matters. This includes mother, land, property, vehicles to some extent, but specifically heart, home, chest, lungs. That includes the back of the heart as well. Okay, hi Candace, welcome. So this emotional body theme, fourth house matters, is showing up already. Most of you, like me, are feeling it, and by Wednesday, this will intensify. And in the coming weeks, because we have a full lunar eclipse happening, coinciding with this full moon, this is a 2-week period that I call an eclipse portal. So it's a gap between two eclipses. Eclipses always come in pairs. So on February 15th, we'll have the new moon, and there'll be a partial solar eclipse. So 2 weeks from our full moon. And in this gap between eclipses, we'll notice that these themes intensify. The themes of this full moon, the shadow, the eclipse energy. Remember that we're also working with Sarpa's energy. And Sarpa brings deception, illusion, uncertainty. He questions, he provokes through questioning. And the way that he brings knowledge and wisdom and resources is in a very unusual way. It's more occult and mystical. There is a dark side, a shadow side to this constellation, and you can get off track. You can fall into dark knowledge and wisdom, the dark arts, dark magic, that kind of thing, and particularly false gurus and people who don't have your best interest in mind. So this is a reminder to really be in right relationship with your own shadow, and to be gathering resources and support that also honor the wisdom of the shadow, to actually move closer to it rather than resisting, avoiding, and pushing it away, which actually makes it stronger. So we'll see in this eclipse portal where we've been pushing away the shadow, because it will show up even stronger. We will see where we're avoiding ourselves, where we're avoiding our darkness. That is sort of the intention, the theme that these eclipses bring. So an eclipse is going to show you your shadow specifically. So I just want to pause here, and I want to invite you to notice what some of these themes are that have been developing in the past few days. They may have been intensifying, but like I said, this theme of Rahu in Cancer has been with us for many months now. So just notice if there are any themes around your personal mythology, your shadow, your self-trust, trusting others, that has been showing up. And type into the chat, let me know what some of these themes are that you've been identifying. And I'm going to come to the group. Hey Nicholas, welcome. So what is some of the personal mythology that you're witnessing? What are some of these themes? And if you're not able to tap into that, take a peek at your Jyotish chart, okay? Hey Nicholas, welcome, other Nicholas. And look at your Jyotish chart. See where Cancer sits in the chart, okay? So the number 4, what house is that? This is the theme right now, okay? Rahu is moving through Cancer via transit. Rahu Ketu transits are roughly about 18 months. So we've been working with this for several months now, and we'll continue through 2018. And here we are starting the year off with our first eclipse portal, and bang, it's hitting us right at this point where these themes of Rahu are showing up. So where does Cancer sit in your chart? This is where the shadow is hitting you. And these themes are going to be enlivened during the eclipse portal. Okay? So Nicholas Hardcastle, first house. So these are themes of self, whole body, a sense of self, individuality, right? But specifically this theme around trust and self-trust is showing up right now for you. And Candace, yes, second house, Cancer. So themes about security at home. She's saying indecisiveness about where to live, if moving is a good idea. Saturn is there in Ashlesha in the birth chart. Great. So, Candace, these are themes around nourishment, support, finances, literally themes that were there right after your birth. So second house has to do with that which happens after the birth. We can think of first house as the birth itself. Second house is going to show you what was there in the afterbirth. And with Saturn there, it's clear that there was a grief process taking place for you. And so that grief is going to impact your ability to be nourished and feel supported. So I want to encourage you to really notice who's on your support team, what's your relationship with nourishment, and receiving that nourishment. And I hear this like indecisiveness about where you're living and what's next. And that clarity comes with inner trust. So that is the theme in terms of finding deeper nourishment. Self-trust. Trusting the nourishment to be there. Trusting yourself to receive the nourishment that's there. Hope that makes sense. All right, let's see. Suzanne, we're talking 8th house matters. So this is the unconscious. It's literally the realm of the shadow. The 8th house has a lot to do with the subconscious, the unconscious realms, our biggest fears, the parts of ourselves that we're terrified to look at, death, and literally, the animal parts of ourself, okay? The animal body is a really important part of the emotional feeling level. And this is usually the part of us that we're most resistant to working with and moving towards. The animal body doesn't make sense from a rational perspective. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about truly honoring the feeling level. The 8th house correlates to Scorpio, and Moon is considered debilitated in Scorpio for that reason. The emotional body becomes very fragile and vulnerable, and it requires us to lean closer to it. Animals are a great reminder of how our own animal body works. So animals are very much what you see is what you get, and their fear responses will remind you about your own fear responses. The animal body is sort of like the imprint of what lives within you based on past experiences. So for example, I'm going to use a horse experience. I'm working with horses right now, and the horse that I've been riding had a very traumatic experience with the cobbler, or the shoe person, the horseshoe guy, whatever you want to call him. And since then, he does not like his hooves touched, and so every time I go to pick out the hooves, it's a struggle. And so that living memory in his body is like, no, don't touch my hooves, because once upon a time that was a traumatic experience for me. So animals will tell you exactly why they're resistant to something based on a past experience. Now, in a human body, we often forget, and we'll cover it up, we'll resist, we'll avoid, we'll pretend, we'll act like everything's fine. But your animal body has a memory in it that won't let you forget. And your emotional body will support that reminder. So that's why we want to lean closer. So I just went on a tangent about the 8th house, but Suzanne, those are the places where I encourage you to lean closer and look at the animal body. Look at the parts of you that feel, okay? What are the feelings? Lean closer. Let's see, Lisbeth. Cancer in the 9th house, you have Pluto there. Is this your sidereal chart? Or is this a Western chart? I don't work with the outer planets. I'm more traditional. In a traditional sidereal approach, we wouldn't be working with Pluto or Neptune or Uranus. Okay, so you have a sidereal chart that includes the outers. No problem. All right, so 9th house, we're talking themes of Dharma. Okay, so do I trust myself enough to step into my power and purpose, to share my gifts and my offering in this world? So that's part of the personal mythology. So what are those stories that are showing up? And I want to invite you to type into the chat and share what some of the personal mythology is, the story, some of the emotions. Hi, Sarah, welcome. Yes, so Suzanne is relating to the animal body piece, fear responses, deep body work. Yes, absolutely. So just remember, Suzanne, that a lot of those pieces of the personal mythology are unconscious, and so we have to do a little extra digging. But the effort is so well worth it, because you will get a lot of support in your transformation process if you're willing to move closer to this part of yourself. So there's always benefit and reward to moving towards these unconscious parts of ourselves and clearing. The 8th house is one of those great places, and the shadow in general. As we move closer to our darkness, the challenges, the fears, the terror, the anxieties that we live with, it's like pulling up the darkness and offering it to the light, bringing light to these parts of ourselves. That's literally the purpose of Jyotish. Jyoti means light. I taught my Jyotish immersion for healers and healing this past Saturday, and we dove really deeply into all of those parts, really understanding how the shadow lives in you and how that's impacting you, where the disconnection lives in your body, how the trauma in your body is impacting you, and also how this is a dharmic process if you're willing to move closer to it. and use it as a resource for healing and transformation. And Jyotish is a very powerful resource for bringing the unconscious to the conscious. It's the first step. That's what I call it. It's the door opener. So we use that to get a very clear understanding of, the map, the cosmic map of you and your bodies. And that cuts your healing time in half. It just does. I mean, you don't have to fumble around looking for the places where you're disconnected, where you're struggling to reconnect and find wholeness. It's all right there in your chart. So if you know how to use it as a resource for your healing, it cuts the healing time in half, literally. You don't have to waste years. But then we have to do the work. So we do have to gather the right resources, support, tools, guidance, and take those action steps in order to transform, heal, and grow. So obviously I'm quite passionate about this process. And for those of you who missed the class and couldn't join us, I am offering the class at half off until Wednesday. Okay, so I will put a link in this video when we're done, and you can join us. Still working with the cough. Still moving a lot of grief through. And that's part of the shadow as well with this emotional body work that's happening right now, is leaning into the emotional body and the personal mythology around your emotional body. So this is a big theme for the coming weeks. And I will tell you that where you are resistant to looking at the emotional body, it will show up. And it may show up in physical, it may show up in mental, it may show up in emotional, or it may show up in the spiritual body. Depending on your own personal chart. So just notice 7 houses away. Last week in this class, we talked a lot about Capricorn and all the planets that are centered there right now. So we have Mercury, we have Venus, we have Sun in Capricorn, and we also have K2. Sun has been causing a combustion with Venus for a number of weeks. This is continuing through in Capricorn. And in addition to that, now we have K2. Hi, Michelle, welcome. Now we have K2 touching the Sun, touching Venus, and touching Mercury. And remember that K2's job is to cut, to sever, to disconnect, to restructure. He's called the Moksha planet, which is a nice way of saying trauma, release, loss. So Sun, Venus, and Mercury, as they touch K2 in the coming weeks, they will be restructured. So Sun is our physical body as well as the spiritual. So these parts of ourselves are getting restructured. These bodies are getting restructured. Okay? Venus is your life force energy, vitality. She's your inner waters. So this is getting burned by the sun. And that's why, the flu is happening big time right now, because wherever your life force quality has been burned out, you're going to be more susceptible to getting the flu, getting sick, if you've been wearing yourself out. That's why for weeks I've been saying, go slow, don't push, don't force. This combustion has been causing a lot of burnout, literally. And so Venus is getting restructured and also overheated. So do less right now. Really rest. Make sure you have plenty of rest and recovery time. And now we have Mercury moving through Capricorn. And Mercury is the mental body. So the mind is getting heated and also restructured. There's a lot of vulnerability and fragile nature to the mind. My cat is doing crazy things right now. Hey! And destroying my furniture at the same time. So we have to just be mindful of not overworking and overdoing right now. And this is part of the dynamic with Rahu in Cancer. They're 7 houses away from each other. So remember that Rahu and Ketu, they spark the attraction-repulsion dynamic. So I want it, but I'm terrified of it at the same time. Rahu in Cancer is moving us towards the emotional body, and at the same time, we're terrified of it. We're resisting. There are parts of us that are saying, no, don't want to go there, don't want to lean closer, and yet the physical and mental bodies will force you. You'll have to start looking in this coming cycle because the body's not going to let you off the hook. So it's an important reminder to listen to your body wisdom, which is always the place of your greatest knowledge and wisdom. The body knows everything. Everything that you've experienced in your life is imprinted in your body. So knowing how to harvest from the wisdom of your body is vital. So let's just pause here. I'm not going to go into much more of the transits for this week. I'll post something about the moon transits in our group here. We'll just focus today on the full moon and the eclipse. But I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes and to notice the breath. Just notice your inhale and your exhale. And as you notice your breath and your chest and your lungs, your heart, remember this is your 4th house. This is Cancer. So just bringing awareness to this part of the body, to the breath body. And when you're ready, just shifting your awareness to sensation in the body. So tracking the physical body, noticing any sensations arriving. And shifting your awareness to the emotional body. And just notice what's arriving right now. And shifting to the mental body, the imaginal, thoughts and words and stories, ideas, perceptions. What are the stories showing up right now? And shifting to the spiritual body, this is a very subtle, nuanced place. Just noticing what's arriving right now. And I invite you now to come back to the emotional body and just lean a little closer. Notice what emotions are arriving right now. And notice where you feel that in your body. So identify the emotion and notice where it lands in the body. And lean closer and just notice if there are any images or shapes that arrive. And leaning closer to this part of the body where this emotion lands, and ask this part of the body to share a message with you. So if this part of the body could speak to you, what would it say right now? And as you harvest that message, ask this part of you to share a need. And thank your body for sharing with you. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And I invite you to share in the comment section, what was the message of your emotional body? And where did you notice that arriving in you? And what's the need? So if you're still with me and you're hanging out, share what your harvest was. So, remember emotional body wisdom in the coming days, and I'm going to be sharing more resources with you to support you in that. I'll be doing an emotional body challenge in the coming days to just share more resources, reminders, and support with you. It's easy to forget, and we can all use more support with the emotional body. So look for that. Remember, if you're wanting more resources for your healing journey and to really deepen your understanding of your Jyotish chart as a resource for your healing journey, your path of awakening, then do take advantage of the half off that I'm offering on that Jyotish immersion. You'll still get the bonuses. You'll just use the recording instead of being live. Still a lot of great resources and information to gather with that. I'll put a link above this video. Remember that every week I offer free Dharma coaching sessions. And I still have a couple spots left for next week. This week I'm full. So sign up. Let me know if you want to find a little clarity and a little support in this challenging eclipse portal. And I'm happy to meet you. All right, Sue is saying the message landed in her head. It says, open up. And the need is speak, sing, move. So, Sue, what are some action steps that you can take to support this need for speaking, singing, and moving? Lisbeth is saying she feels the pain in the groin area, need to know the reason why, feeling is angry, why no attention to it. So the need is to know why. Lisbeth, I want to encourage you to create an image using whatever medium inspires you. Maybe paints, maybe crayons, maybe watercolor. And create a picture, create an image of the groin area. Okay? And you're welcome to share that with me or share it in the group. And give that image a title, and then I'll give you some follow-up steps, okay? That should help you get a little more insight. All right, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. Remember, every Monday at noon Mountain Time, I offer this live Facebook class in the Moon Tribe. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging with me even with my hacking cough. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate walking with you and hearing from you. And I look forward to hearing more from you in the coming days and seeing you in session. I've posted the full moon wisdom in the group, so you can check that out. And if you're not on my newsletter list, you can find that link as well in the group. All right. Bye, everyone.